Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have a suggestion for Top 3, be sure to drop us a note on Twitter, on Twitch if you're here in chat, on Discord, or even in our new style of poll. There's a spot for that. Or just message me, you can hit me up whenever. But this week, we're going to talk about a Top 3 favorite Destiny missions. I was about to say food because we were talking about food right before we started recording. And apparently that's going to be something that's coming up again in chat because we have a special guest tonight. Hello. We have one of my friends, Ishtar, the Wish Dragon herself, and we're going to talk about our top 3 favorite Destiny missions.
I like how the whole Wish Dragon thing has permeated to everything.
I don't mind it because I'm the one who gave you that title.
Listen, I'm trying to put together your introduction right now, okay? So I'm just gonna say that's gonna be part of it, and there's gonna be other parts of it, and
oh no.
Blue gets real creative with most introductions. Beard has been called very, very, very things over the past year and a half. So it's your turn to get some of it. Although he really hasn't changed up what I'm called, which I'm okay with, especially. But anyway,
look, I only have so much free time on my hands.
I know, right? Right. Kole.
Yes.
What is your number 3 top Destiny mission?
It would probably have to be A Stranger's Call, which is down in the Ishtar library back in D1, where the stranger does the whole ridiculous speech of, I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain, but I'm going to stand here for 15 minutes and tell you everything, but not really tell you anything.
So many questions from that mission.
Mm-hmm. That was the mission that got me interested in lore back in the day.
The only reason I like that one so much is because you do actually go into the Ishtar collective and you see a whole bunch of infrastructure in the books and everything, which I absolutely love.
And she
just fighting in that library. What I find ridiculous is you're fighting in the library. You're surrounded by Golden Age books. Why is the ammo coming out of my gun not destroying everything?
Space magic.
Space magic. It's ridiculous.
That Vex, all the Vex coming at you during that show.
Yeah. Still, I love it.
Definitely. Blue. Do you have your number 3 now?
Yeah. My number 3, Anyways, my number 3 is Enemy of My Enemy. And it's...
Oh, the one on Titan.
Yeah, it's mostly because of the predominant piece of that mission being an actual choice given to us as players. Our choices actually affect the ending of that mission, which I absolutely love. That's the one that we kind of... I want to say that was when we really initially got introduced to Mithrax. Off the top of my head, I want to say that's when we got introduced to his character. But the big thing there was that we actually got to choose whether or not that our guardian basically kills him or lets him survive. And I remember when that first dropped, there was a lot of people who were really excited because, it opens up quite a bit as far as potential, and it shows that, that's something that Bungie as a developer is going to be, hopefully playing with more and more, especially with now that we're where we are today with 0 hour and all that actually, plays into it. I don't know. I really like those types of missions.
I like that because that actually dovetails directly into my number 3. Because my number 3 is 0 hour. I actually really like, and even if I don't complete it, I like going in there solo and just running the jumping puzzle and whatnot and testing myself that way. Because Kole and I ran it a lot together to get Outbreak Prime, or Outbreak Perfected, excuse me. And it's a fun mission to go through, and you get to see Mithrax and work with him to kill one thrall, and then you do all the rest of the work, and then he shows up at the end with his ship. But it's an enemy race that you get to actually work with, which is kind of cool. Is why 0 hours my number 3.
My
number 2.
Number 2 would probably have to be Chosen, where you run through the city and it's all destroyed and everything. You're gonna kill Gaul at the end. for two reasons I really like that one. One is you're actually down in the city, because I would love to do that as my guardian and like hear the civilians with like their barks or like their lines of, oh my gosh, it's a guardian, that sort of thing. I'd love to hear how the civilians react. But just seeing how they live, the architecture and everything, and the actual rebuilding of society is really pretty. Because there's a lot of white alabaster structures, surprisingly, in the city, which I still think it's really pretty. But the second reason is actually because of you, Green. Oh. When we were running story missions and we were completely overpowered, and we were taking down Gaul. Where we broke him so bad that he T-posed.
Yeah.
He utterly T-posed, and we couldn't complete the mission because he just was stuck there until, the final bits of his lines were done, and then he fell over dead.
Listen, you have to let him talk. We did that with the arms dealer strike. We killed him before he could go up the elevator, and the game was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. God, it was Blade Barrage. I think we tethered in Blade. Did we both Blade Barrage him?
We both Blade Barrage.
Oh,
it was so bad.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, I can
at level 700.
Yeah,
and this was before the nerf.
Oh my god!
It's just Gaul's just pin cushions. Just he was a voodoo doll at that point. It was a lot of fun. That was a good time. Blue, number 2 for you.
Bottle the Ark. It's the
Which one?
Bottle the Ark. It's the
what is that?
The Stormcaller subquest.
Oh,
from
back
D1.
to D1.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It was
okay.
It was one of the ones that it actually did a really. It was one that I had multiple conversations, I think, with Bife about, and he actually convinced me to go get my Warlock up. I grinded a new Warlock out just to play that one subclass or that one subclass mission, and it was totally worth it. In my mind, I think that was one of those subclasses. I never really got into the Sunbreaker, but my understanding is for those who did, Sunbreaker was right up there with it as far as the feeling. I didn't really connect with that particular one, but for whatever reason, Bottle the Ark just to me really did embody the concept that they kind of seem to be going for with the Warlocks. It was just really cool how they orchestrated the different pieces of that particular quest, really. But yeah, and then the very end when you actually get the unlimited power, because whenever you get the new super abilities, they give you that trial period. It's hey, here's a new car, go drive it around for 5 minutes, and you don't have to pay for gas. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened there, and that was actually a lot of fun.
I liked all those missions. Spark did that, and although I liked the lore.
He yelled at you until I submit. That's accurate.
Yeah, he did. I'm Bife. My number 2 is a major throwback to the very beginning of D1. And it is the Dark Beyond mission, where we go to the moon and the Hive come out and you get that iconic line from Dinklebot. You've awoken a Hive, or we've awoken the Hive. I played that mission I don't know how many times back in D1. And it's not like the mission was super special in any way, shape, or form. There was no major story things. It was more nostalgic.
I can see that.
Yeah, because also it was a great farming mission to get all the thrall.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one is definitely one of my favorites. The one that I probably have put more hours in than is reasonable. But that brings us to number 1 and the conclusions of our list. Kole.
See, now I'm in a quandary because Blue reminded me of the new subclass missions. Because when we first saw the TTK trailer, I legit cried.
Right.
Because there was a void bow I could now have as a hunter, and it is by far my favorite subclass, so that whole mission was really awesome to me.
I don't know though. Can you beat the Russian servitor doll?
Russian servitor doll?
Oh my god! Do you not remember?
So the
it's
servitor,
you kill it,
and
five pop out, and then it's you kill one of them, and it's here's more and more, and more. I'm oh god, when is it gonna stop?
So Blue, Black Armory in Burgusia. There's smaller versions of that.
Yeah. I mean,
Haven't I gotten
Blue,
that
I
one?
do
I
have
don't
to
know.
say,
I don't know if I got
Crucible
that.
Radio, when I was doing scrims with them in Crucible private matches, they actually did compliment me on my Night Stalker ability.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Tether on things.
But no, my favorite top mission would probably have to be Utopia, which is where you go into the arcology on Titan, and you're retrieving the computer chip so you can do the whole little processing thing and everything. But going down in there, just going through the arcology first, you see how they actually lived on Titan. It was very beautiful. A lot of fantastic structures, and everything's still glowing and bright and vivid. You have your little Roomba bots going around still, which I think is adorable. But like you just keep going through, and like the pathways get smaller and smaller and smaller. And when you're going through the air ducts, if you look around, there's actually skeletons in piles. Like somebody or a group of people got caught and just were slaughtered right then and there. And then you go down even further, and you see like the back end, the like actual infrastructure underneath this society. And then when you plop down and you get the little chip in the sphere, there's that worm going across. You know, just absolutely crazy to me. And you pick it up and you run, but
And also, you guys, you know that Ghost has like one of the best lines during that mission.
Which one?
When he's confused about what a pineapple is.
Oh, pine apple?
He's like, what the hell? What
Why
type
would
of
they?
people
What would they do that for?
pineapple.
It's the best.
What was
It
the other one?
I can't remember. It was
kiwi or
cute,
like
yeah.
a cucumber kiwi?
Yeah, it was something. He was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And what's it like? He rambles them off, and it's like the weird one, the actual weird one. He's like, oh yeah, that's fine, that's perfectly normal. And then he gets the pineapple. He's like, pine apple? Like what? Like it just
Like, why would they combine such a thing?
breaks him. It's so amazing.
It's such a mess.
I love it. But yeah, that's probably my top one, is just because I love Titan. I love rain in the ocean, even though I can't swim for anything. But Titan is probably my favorite destination out of any of them, out of any game, just because that's probably where I'd be living if we were back in the Golden Age.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I would definitely live
Why
there.
there?
Well, for one, science. 2, it's pretty. 3, science. And 4, science. And 5, it's always raining.
It's always raining. It's
I love
raining
the rain.
methane. Frozen.
I don't care.
Okay.
It's still rain. Plus, the park in the middle of it with the dome is really pretty.
Yeah, that is kind of pretty. I will give you that. Blue. God. What's your number
Science!
Yes. Science.
Ranger Found. So it's the subclass for the Night Stalker from TTK. It was one of my favorite missions because you actually kind of get a glimpse into. It was one of the first times that I remember really getting a glimpse into like the everyday components of what it is to be Guardians, because they introduced Tevis kind of more formally, and his entire like role within the Vanguard as a mentor, as a pseudo mentor, basically. With the hunters and all that, and then you actually like it is just really cool because you actually get Tevis's bow. It's not like, you know, it's not it actually gives you, for as a Night Stalker, it's one of the few times, actually I think it's the only subclass that we actually, it's not our like catalyst. The catalyst to teach us how to use the Night Stalker bow is actually Tevis's like manifestation of it, and I thought that was really, really cool. You know, just because it just kind of reconnected you from a kind of the behind the scenes. If you actually sat down and, you know, kind of peeled back the appearance of it just a little bit, it made it really a little bit more weight to it in my mind.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the subclass missions are just so nice in general.
Yeah, and I have a good memory of those, just again because it was like, again, it was one of those things where it was the first time that I feel like they actually really pushed, not necessarily choices, though it did kind of feel like a choice. Like in order to unlock the ability, you kind of had to do it, but at the same time, it felt like, you know, they're like, no, here's the reason why this new ability is being unlocked. Like, this is a kind of an explanation in game as to, oh no, this isn't just, the arbitrary, oh, hey, I got X amount of XP points and I'm going to tick off this new skill point.
Right.
It actually was like, I attribute it to like the D&D process of learning a new skill set in D&D or in any RPG is like the training period. Like depending on how you play the game, within RPGs or tabletops, usually when you learn a new skill or learn a new feat or something like that, you're supposed to give your character some time during a rest period to actually train with it. And to me, that was kind of like an actual realization of that component within Destiny. And I thought that was really cool that it wasn't just unlocking a node on an arbitrary skill tree. We actually had to go out and, explore in so much as we explored the world at that point, and actually toggle that and unlock that ability within our own character. I thought that was a really, really good step in the it was one of the things that actually kept me interested in Destiny for a while, was because of that kind of thing, because I was hoping with that we would see more of those choices, and we have seen more of those choices. But up until that point, it's hard for me to play RPGs, or even though Destiny's not really an RPG, but RPG lights. And that's kind of the reason why, is because it starts getting really hard to connect with just arbitrarily unlocking skill nodes. It's like, unless I'm actually, I prefer to have games that, like Fallout, or actually any Bethesda titles. Bethesda does a really good job, and this is one of the reasons I really like Bethesda titles, is they reward you by leveling up the skill sets that you actually use. So like, the way you advance is by actually doing things. It's not just, I killed X amount of enemies and now I'm a master lockpick. It's, no, you have to go out and you have to actually steal stuff. Like you have to successfully sneak around. And as you get more if you do more challenging things, you obviously get faster progress. And that's kind of where, with the subclasses in Destiny with the Taken King, that's kind of what it started feeling like. And I was like, oh yes, that's going to be, if we can get this in this game, this would totally make, again, because I play a lot of it solo, it would make it a lot more easy for me to connect to the character. And it did. Also, as the chat points out, there are no bears in Destiny. So
that is also true. Or trolls.
Or trolls. Or the new Tomb Raider, it's jaguars, because F those things. There are none of those either in Destiny.
Right.
Oh goodness.
So falls onto me for the flair for dramatic, which is why my number one is the number one it is. It is Regicide, back from TTK, because I love the scene where you walk in to Oryx's throne room before we kill him in the raid, and all that darkness seeps into him. I know they said it was like inspired from Spawn and inspired from Opera.
The Cell.
The Cell, not Spawn. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. Oh my god, it's one of the best cutscenes, I think, from that. It's such
a gorgeous mission. Yeah, and I love drama. I don't like being a part of drama, but I love dramatic moments, and I love seeing dramatic moments and reading dramatic moments, and that definitely was an entry. For all the things that Oryx lacks, he had style, man. He really did. He really did, but
he also had control of the real world, because he could break the fourth wall and glitch everybody while we were trying to kill him.
That's true. That is also true. But that actually concludes our list this week. Next week, Blue, would you like to tell the folks at home, because I forgot already what we're doing next week, even though we discussed it right before we started this episode?
Next week, we're going to do podcast, which is actually going to be a hard one for me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't listen to podcasts.
Me either.
I just host one.
Right. I don't need to listen to my host one.
It's not even that. It's just literally, I'm like, I can't get people to talk fast enough for me to, like, yeah. That's not anything against anybody. Same reason I don't listen to audiobooks. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
this is the most inefficient use of my time.
You put it up at 1.5 and just have fun with it.
No, well, with audiobooks, I have to put it at like 2, and
Really?
it gets really interesting. I'm just gonna say that if you put an audiobook at like 2 times the speed, I'm like, dude, that person does not have that high of a voice, but it's really funny.
I wouldn't stop giggling if I
don't. No, that's the problem. Then I get distracted because I'm like, oh, that person just died. Like I'm like, this is terrible. I'm missing the entire point of this book.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. I mean, I guess it is top 3 podcast. We could do top 3 audiobooks at some point too. That might not be a bad one because there's some voice actors that I really like that do some really great audiobook work too.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, that actually concludes our top 3 this week. Thank you for joining us, and remember, everybody loves a list.